Don't sleep on the Dubs and the NBA's leading scorer, Steph Curry with the shot. The Warriors knocking off the Suns, who have the second best record in the NBA last night, a 6-point win in Golden State. They would play the Lakers if the play-in started today. They have the West's sixth best record since April 1st. Here's Draymond and Wiggins.
For a second there, we were the Hunters. Then we turned into the Hunted for 5-6 years, whatever it was. And now we're hunting again. And, you know, that's always a fun position to be in when you're hunting, going after everybody else. So, you know, obviously has experienced both. But I love hunting. That's fun. Earlier in the season, we were so Steph heavy. You know, everything had to be Steph, and if Steph couldn't get it going, we were kind of done. You know, we moved the ball tonight. You know, we didn't shoot great, but we hit the shots when they mattered.
We're a totally different team now than we were at the beginning of the year. And I feel like we're only getting better. We're gelling at the perfect time.
All right, bring back Big Perk. Perk, I want to start with you. Should the West be worried about Golden State? Like, what teams, what matchups are they going to give problems to?
Molly, should teams be worried? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Yes. And here's why. And if anybody disagree, they haven't been watching the game of basketball. Okay. Golden State are winners of 7 out of their last 8. And when you look at them, they have identity on both ends of the floor. They have a defensive identity. And with Draymond Green anchoring the defense, one of the best defensive players in the game today, could possibly win the Defensive Player of the Year award. You have Andrew Wiggins, who have now become a two-way player, who don't have to be the number 1 pick. And did you watch the game last night against the Phoenix Suns, the number 2 team in the Western Conference, when Steph Curry went 1 for 11 from 3, 7 for 22 from the field? Andrew Wiggins had a 38-piece wing dinner, teriyaki style. He went to work. He has that confidence because of the culture of Golden State and the leadership of Draymond Green and Steph Curry. So, yes, I'm looking at the top of the Western Conference. The Utah Jazz are not healthy. We don't know when Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley is coming back. Phoenix Suns, I just alliterated to, are looking shaky. And the Clippers are looking funny in the light as well. So, yes, the West should be worried about the Golden State Warriors.
No, they shouldn't. I mean, I'll respect the Golden State because I don't disagree with those points, Perk, which is why if it was a one and done tournament, then I'd be like, oh, watch out. They could win the whole thing in a one and done tournament. But in a best of 7 series, there are too many repetitions, and it matters how your team, for example, shoots. Now, Wiggins, you mentioned, turned into a two-way player. He also shot the ball way better than I thought he'd shoot the ball this year. But is he a consistent number 2 scorer that you can rely on in the playoffs? We don't know that. We have not seen that. And in fact, while the Warriors are peaking at the right time, this is not the NFL. Like, I think that matters much more in the NFL, the hotter team, the healthier team. In the NBA, because of the best of 7 series, when it comes down to it, really just the roster construction, how many guys you can really rely on is what it's going to be about. Yes, the Suns have looked bad recently, but there are two guys on the Suns that can absolutely kill you, and a bunch of role players who fit very nicely and can shoot the ball. Other than the greatest shooter ever in Steph Curry, they don't really have enough shooting on this team to stay with the Jazz or the Suns, and that's who they're going to be seeing in a 7-game series if they wind up getting out of the play-in, which I think they have a very good chance to do. They will be one and done. They make it to the first round, but not past that.
Yeah, Big Perk, I got to agree with Max on this one, man. And you know I hate to do that, but I just don't think the Warriors have enough firepower offensively to be able to win out in a long series against any of those teams in the Western Conference. You saw a little bit of a preview on what teams at the top of that Western Conference are going to do when they're trying to defend the Golden State Warriors. They're going to shadow Steph with 2 guys, and they're going to cut everybody else loose. And Andrew Wiggins got busy last night, but I don't trust that he's going to be able to do that over a 7-game series enough to be able to make the difference in Golden State winning it versus losing it. No shade to Andrew Wiggins, but I just don't trust it. I haven't seen enough of him being able to take control of games like he did last night. And quite frankly, as much as I love what Steph has done since the beginning of April, I just don't think he's going to be able to put this team on his back and carry them, especially when you're going up against teams that defend as well as the Utah Jazz do. And with the Phoenix Suns and Chris Paul and Devin Booker, to Max's point, I just feel like those guys are too good not to figure it out against this version of the Warriors.
Well, first of all, let me tell y'all why y'all both are wrong right now. And I came on here and I said I was going to be calm and cool today, but I can't help it. All right, when you look at Andrew Wiggins, the reason that I'm saying he's going to flourish well in this system and in the playoffs is because it's all about culture. He's never been on a team like this. He's never had vets like this. He's never had a guy like Draymond Green to put a key in his back and keep him going. And when you talk about the lack of shooting, right, and the lack of offensive firepower that the Golden State Warriors has, that's irrelevant because Steph Curry is offense. He is offense. We're talking about the league leading scorer, a guy that could put up a 60 piece on you in his sleep. And you talk about shadowing him, Candy. And listen, I respect your basketball knowledge, but what does Steph Curry do well, better than any other player, point guard in the league? He moves well without the ball. He has the quickest release in basketball. You cannot block his shot. He moves. He's sneaky. And Draymond Green being the facilitator, they outsmart people. So this is why I say
I just like to point something out.
And they're must.
I just like to point something out about dudes who can score. How many 70-point games does Steph Curry have in his career? Because Devin Booker's got one.
Yep.
That Book went for 70. 70. And we saw in the bubble last year what Devin Booker can do. The point is, let's just boil it down, Perk. How many of those dudes do you have? The special players. Wiggins is a nice player. He made real strides this year. I'm not disagreeing with you. The Suns got 2. The Warriors got 1. The Suns got 2 guys in Chris Paul and Devin Booker who can kill you.
Who are the Warriors knocking off? Perk, I need this from you. Who are the Warriors going to knock off a 7-game series? Talk to me. Give me teams.
I mean, they can knock off either one of them. They can knock off the Utah Jazz. They just beat them. We don't know when Donovan Mitchell or Mike Conley is coming back, right? We haven't had an update on that.
Okay, so
and
Utah.
Max, that was mine. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
But my blood pressure went up. Max, you're talking about, Steph Curry never had 70 and Devin Booker did. Right, he did have it in the regular season, but tell me when Devin Booker didn't ever played in the playoffs and had a 40-piece. He never been. He never been.
Just give it a couple weeks.
Booker when it mattered the most.
Give it a couple weeks.
We know what Steph Curry could do when it mattered the most.
Give it a couple weeks. By the way, my point was not that Devin Booker has proven himself in the playoffs more than Steph Curry. Although Steph Curry choked in plenty of finals before this last one against Toronto where he played very well. He had never been as good as he was in the regular season in the finals, ever in his career, until the Toronto series, which, by the way, they lost. Let's be honest. I'm not trying to argue Devin Booker's more proven than Steph. I just want to point out, when you're talking about Steph Curry is capable of doing all these things, Devin Booker in an NBA game scored 70. This dude is unstoppable offensively, and Chris Paul is in the MVP conversation.
Max, you know what? This is the problem that I have with you, all right? when you go back to switching the narrative and moving the goalposts to make your point, all right, because you're the main one that always come on here talking about how regular season stuff don't matter to you, and it only matters the most when it's in the postseason. Right. That's why you discredit James Harden so much. You remember those arguments? Always downplaying James Harden. That's not impressive because when it matters the most, he disappeared. And now you about to sit up here and tell me about Steph Curry, a guy who probably have some of the best moments in playoff history outside of LeBron James
and Kawhi Leonard history.
In this modern day. Max, you have to get to the finals. People forget about that first, second, and third round, and you just want to hold the finals against Steph. Think about what the Warriors had to do to get to the finals. Think about
Steph's one of the greatest players of all time. No one's saying anything else, but you were trying to pretend that in the finals in the past, Steph, I'll say it again, until the Toronto series where he hit big shots, Steph had never been his regular self.
You're forgetting the biggest point. Don't you remember he wanted Iggy to take the last shot, not Steph? Remember that? It's Max Kelly. Kellerman, who wanted Iggy, not Steph.
By the way, and with the fate of the universe on the line, I wasn't wrong then. Iguodala had ice water in his veins. Steph choked in the finals. Steph was the point guard, and Steph was the conductor of the greatest half-court offense in the history of basketball. They were at home, Game 7, fourth quarter, 4 minutes and 22 seconds went by. They didn't score a point, a single point.
Yeah, Goldberg.
Let me tell you why he was wrong. Okay, I had front row seats to that game because I was in that series because I was on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I was averaging 3,000 claps per game, warming the bench up, and our game plan was to make Iguodala beat us. We put all the attention on Steph Curry, and we said that we're not going to even challenge